Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 59, 5 versus 5, Grand Arena Championship, Week 1. I am joined by my co-hosts TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Dagger is MIA for the moment. I expect he'll drop in the call at some point. But yeah, gentlemen, it was a interesting first week. I had 2 legitimate rounds and an Erodium. I wasn't feeling well round 1, so I didn't stream it. But round 1, I lost to Barator. Was just a little sloppier than him on banners, and then I had an unlucky fleet drop, so nothing to do about that. A great win against Tom Ford, although I see that he didn't have great mothers, so that is an enormous advantage in this meta. How about you, TJ? How was your week?
Oh man, I got my shit pushed in, but we'll call it for what it is. Round one, it was Michael, right? Friend of the show. I've known that dude for years. Old guildmate. Say guildmate for Sasha as well. Really great player. He was traveling, so we did a whole bunch of testing. That was my only win. Then I fought the long name Asian fighter. You can't say really
Yep.
hyper efficient, like smash just task. He sits at the top for a reason. He basically saved everything, and I like call it skill diff or whatever, but he had everything I didn't, right? And I wanted to try something that failed and that cost me down a hole, which you know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got where did I get round 3? Your favorite, one of your favorites, one of your classics, Payton. So I had Payton, and man, just got tore back. I will say I found some good things through adversity, I guess. And I think there's going to be some consistency on what takes what. But what I got to work was weird. So it's like the team I faced, and I know we'll talk about mothers. So it's like 1 and 2, got my shit pushed in. We'll just got outplayed. How it goes, and it starts good because I get Bebe round 1. So I'm having a great 5s. How's your day?
Yeah, all right. So I'm 2-1, you're 1-2. How about you, Sasha?
So I had a fun, stimulating week. I got a couple of real matches in. I faced the Partick account, Bebe there, and then also a friend of our show, Zid, who's been on with us previously, and and then an Erodium. And I went 2-1. The good news is my defense had across the 2 real matches, not counting Erodium, they had 20 holds. So I had 20 successful defensive stances. The bad news is all of those came in only 1 match. So I got steamrolled by Bebe 1 shot. The nice thing was it was liberating, and I didn't even bother to do ships. But in the other match with Zid, it was a fun match. I got to try a little bit because while I did his front wall fairly cleanly, went to sleep by the time I got up the next day. It was clear I had some nice wiggle room. So good matches, but a decent amount learned. So having fun with it.
Dig it. All right. Well, Fatal, how about you? How'd this first week go?
2-1. Pretty easily, or I could pretty easily have argued that it should have been 3-0, but I left crew on defense in the first match, and so kind of just lost by default and turned it into a testing.
That was a good stream, though. I hope people watched that one because you did some good stuff on that. That is my favorite one of the week.
I mean, I should probably agree. It was. Oh man, I'm sad, but I'm not sad that I backed out because there were a couple of fights in the match history that looked like it was total losses.
That's a good thing for you, though. That's good intel advantage. Make it look one way, right? Let the GG.
Dude,
good enough to watch.
I just assume everyone stream cheats nowadays. I don't give a fuck. It's like
fair.
Hey, I don't know. I'm just going to comment that was probably one of my favorite ones for your stuff because you went into the weeds on trying some actual cool things. And to me, it's like if I'm going to take the loss, fuck it, we're going ham, right? And we're going to see what we can do. And I was getting a lot of good stuff off. Like those are the ones where it's like I can't comment enough. Those are when you want to watch the streamer, right? Because you're getting so much good stuff going on. And you're like in the world of, you know what, I'm going to lose. I'm going to see how far I can push it.
Yeah, that's going to have some, I think, permanent benefits for me in the future that will be kind of fun to fuck around with.
That is the hope. That is the highest hope. All right, guys, we've got a great agenda to go over. So, within hours of us recording here, the announcement for Punishing One came out. Let's dig right into this ship. All right, so this is, I've already seen the panic across multiple Swugga discords about how this is the end of all light side based counters to Executor. I don't know if it's exactly that damning, but it's a lot. All right, let's get into it. Sorry, go ahead.
Are you saying you're punished for doing it?
You may well be, yes. All right, unit name,
Sorry.
Punishing One, alignment, dark side, categories, dark side, attacker, bounty hunter, and scoundrel. Key attributes, out of turn attacks, make Punishing One deadlier and faster, steals stealth from enemies that try to avoid combat, and can inflict death mark on a target. All right, strategy tips. Utilize the appropriate allies to set up maximum damage potential. Look for the pertinent bounty hunter debuffs to get more instances of damage. Being deployed with all bounty hunters provides several passive benefits. Ships have reinforcement priority orders, but when those are tied, like Xanadu and IG2K, it will go by order placed. How do you unlock the Punishing One? You're going to get it, available Thursday, 10/17. So what? Yeah, it's a marquee event. You will need a level 60 and own a capital ship, all right? And does the TIE Defender count as an Imperial TIE Fighter for the unique? Yes. All right, we'll see that in a minute. Okay, abilities. Basic, quad laser cannon. Deal physical damage to target enemy. Deal an additional instance of damage for each of the following. Target enemy is breached. Target enemy is marked. Target enemy is target locked. That's gonna get a lot of use. You're gonna just be triple tapping people with that. All right, special one, disruptive combo, 3-round cooldown. Final text: deal physical damage to all enemies and dispel all buffs on them. Target other bounty hunter gains potency up for 1 turn and is called to assist. Ally bounty hunter tanks taunt for 1 turn. And light side enemies lose 50 speed for 1 turn, which can't be evaded or resisted. Okay, that's not good for light side enemies. Special 2, Wanted, Dead. Cooldown is 9. It's starting on cooldown. Final text: deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict the target enemy with death mark, which can't be copied, dispelled, or resisted for 2 turns. Inflict breach on all enemies for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. Punishing One recovers 100% health. This ability can't be evaded and starts on cooldown. Alright, so we'll have to see how do we hasten that cooldown. Alright, the unique Jumpmaster 5000. Final text: at the start of battle or when reinforced, Punishing One gains 3 speed per bounty hunter ally and 6 speed per light side enemy, including capital ships. Whenever Punishing One is called to assist by a bounty hunter ally, if the enemy had buff immunity or marked, stun them for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. Whenever an enemy attacks out of turn, reduce the cooldown of Wanted, Dead, by 1, tripled if the enemy is light side. So this is going to be coming at you comically fast against Profundity. Okay, whenever, even Negotiator too, because of the Mass Assist. Wow. Alright, whenever an enemy attacks Punishing One out of turn, it recovers 10% health and protection. So yeah, Punishing One recovers. At the start of battle, if Punishing One is deployed and all allies are bounty hunters, excluding the capital ship, enemy Imperial TIE Fighter ships lose 200% critical chance and evasion for the rest of the encounter. The Ally Empire capital ship gains 5 speed. I haven't looked at that yet to see who that outpaces. Ally Bounty Hunter attackers gain 100% bonus protection for 1 turn. And Punishing One dispels all debuffs on itself and ignores taunt on its first turn. So even if you are ahead of it and you put some focus down, it's going to shake itself free and go after who it wants. Okay, so at the start of battle, this clause with these 4 effects happens. Now we move on back to the rest of this unique. At the start of the enemy capital ship's turn, all enemies lose 100% critical damage until the end of the turn. Whenever an enemy gains stealth, dispel it. Inflict breach on themselves for 1 turn, which can't be resisted, and punishing one's stealths for 1 turn. While punishing one is active, breached enemies have minus 25% health and protection recovery. Enemies with Deathmark can't recover health and protection, and whenever an enemy with Deathmark is defeated, all bounty hunter allies, all bounty hunters actually, it doesn't say, interesting, no, it says ally bounty hunters, sorry. Ally bounty hunters gain 100% defense for 1 turn and recover 100% protection. Okay, so that's where the meat is on this kit. Holy crap. And then the reinforcement ability, Skip Tracer, final text, enter battle, punishing one, gains defense penetration up for 2 turns, target enemy is inflicted with buff immunity for 1 turn, which can't be evaded or resisted. Could be, I don't know, situationally useful. What do you guys think? Floor's open for this one, guys, just jump in.
Yeah, before we get into substance, I will say this is definitely in that category of kits that actually needs an intermission. Like it is so extensive, and I will say, as you kind of go through the various clauses and provisions in there, I keep seeing reasons that the types of counters that I would have expected to turn to get, if not nullified, at least like marginalized. So it's feels good.
It's literally calling out every single thing. I would say minus, I don't know where Levi falls in, but like it's taking away, because calling out the TIE fighters is calling out the one off
the one Chimera counter for
with we're doing with Defender, right? You're using Defender to relinquish, and then it overpowers, but it's not a common one. It's going on the common ones, obviously, but it's like, oh no, we're gonna hit you there too. So it almost feels like that's now the creme de la creme. And then we'll see what it does. And you basically keep Levi is just initial gut reaction. Because even when I saw it come out, I didn't get a chance to actually dig in until you said it now. But yep, that's where I'm at. Like immediately tells me, it's like, oh yeah, all your counters people were using that are called out are now poopies.
And it seems pretty obvious that this character really should be on the front, because you want those 4 clauses in there. 4 little items.
Well, I'm wondering is the starting lineup. It feels like Bosk, punishing one, and actually
Razor.
I don't know if is it Razor or is it Xanadu. Only reason I'm bringing up Xanadu is the mass buffs and the stealth, because punishing one is also going to stealth, which is going to leave out. So it's like Razor seems pretty obvious, but the mass debuffs is a pretty big thing with Xanadu. And
I don't think you get to make progress on Razor Crest's contract until it's on the field, right?
First reinforcement. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can take a look at it here real quick, but
that's what I wanted to look. It's just like, dude, it's like it's a lifter, man. This feels like Great Mothers 2.0. It feels like we're getting our first like legit lifter for a team, right? Because that to me brings Executor to like the forefront of, oh, you're screwed. And
I think it's nice that they make the call out about that reinforcement order in the particular case of Xanadu and IG2K, because now you can kind of pick which one of the 2 you want to come first with that understanding. And this reinforcement bonus for Razor Crest is kind of crap, I think. You see it here? So, Razor Crest gains stealth for 2 turns, inflicts ability block on target enemy for 1 turn, which can't be evaded or resisted. Like Xanadu, or I think IG's probably better, right? We can look at IG. I forget what that one is.
I think we're all going to play with it, right? And there's going to be something that comes out of it. It'll be probably, if I had to guess, like a territory war or something else that will become the mass exodus of what it'll end up being, right? It'll start at the gauntlet, is what it'll be. Something will come out like that nobody's thought of, and then that will be the creme de la creme of what it'll be. It's just how it works when we do with anything. So am I excited to see it? Yes. Am I fearful to see it? Yes, because now it's a brand new game again when it comes to ships, and we don't have enough as it is. So you'd only have so many ways to do it. And I think you know Tass, and I know Sasha doesn't mess with it. Fatal says fuck that too. But ship strategy on reinforcements, it can be a big thing.
Yeah.
And how you line up your ships, right? Because I think we sat there at times, you, me, and Dagger will sit there for 20 to 30 minutes talking about how we want the reinforcements to go. What will the AI do? And them calling that out to me feels very big.
Yep.
I honestly think that clause is just CG kind of trying to spread the information because it's a thing that we know, but it's a thing that not many players do.
Yeah. I think it's really fair to say because immediately people are going to have the question TJ had. I still feel. I mean, what do you think, Phil? You think it off the top of your head, just as a starting point, not what's going to end up being best. There's no way to know. But
Well, I can tell you already.
Sorry,
I already know. I can already tell you how this ends.
Tell us.
I'd like to solve the puzzle. Well, guilds are going to require Dengar R9 because they just require R9 for the shiny new thing, regardless of whether it matters.
Right.
And then someone's going to figure out, but wait, resistance is actually really good against this because resistance was already almost over the top on previous comps, and this forces exec to sacrifice something that they might really not want to sacrifice. And so they leave themselves up into resistance. And oh wait, they actually just released a ship a few months ago. A few being like 10 now, but that's fine. It's in ships turns it basically just happened. It's the most recent release. And so then now top guilds are going to start relicking all the resistance pilots, and the new status quo will be achieved. And you'll just use the possibly RNG counter to defeat the new big bad guy, and the spread of war will continue.
That sounds like Chimera.
Yeah,
Eerily similar.
Higher investment Chimera counter. Yay! All right.
That's me calling the ball. I think resistance, because resistance I've known for years was already like close enough, but I was never going to be the person to like invest a bunch of relics in resistance pilots to try to see it happen.
We're when we say the resistance pilots, I'm assuming we're talking about the same 3 ships that you'd usually start on the front line: the resistance, Millennium, Poe's X-wing, and then Rose's ship, the tank ship.
I'd actually had to review the tapes because this is the real like years old ship, but I don't know if it was Poe's. And actually, I'm fairly certain that it wasn't Poe's. But the matchup dynamic probably hasn't changed in that many years either. So like, yeah, I'll have to go dig that shit up. But I mean, I assume it's Race Falcon. I assume it's the tank because you need that shit to eat the mass assists. I'll have to check past that because it wasn't actually my theory craft. It came from
Okay.
Blade Baka, but yeah,
Let's
I don't
go
know.
backwards.
Like you look at the punishing one, and I mean resistance can have assists, but only if you decide that you want them to have assists, so you get the ability to opt out if that's really a big concern for you. And at the same time, like we don't know the punishing one's stats right now, but like for example, if the meta decides, hey, triple attacker with punishing one as the third off of Razor Crest XP is the way to go. I'm pretty sure resistance also was particularly happy to prey on triple attacker. And that Houndstooth was actually kind of the problem child to deal with. But now the comeuppance is out, that actually might kind of serve as a Houndstooth grinder, so to speak. And I think I would have to double check the kit, but I assume once punishing one is dead, you don't get penalized for.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't say persist.
Yeah, there's nothing in his unique that says these effects persist after death.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. It's just lifter until dead.
So yeah, look forward to giving your Ray Scavenger R9 in the near future. Otherwise, you just don't care about your guild.
That's right. Do it or you are scrub. You heard it here. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dig into the meta matchups. Of course, this last week was defined by fighting Great Mothers, and I only had 1 round to fight it in. Like I said, I had an Erodium, and then Tom Ford didn't actually have it, so I did take in the Crew Slacker team. I almost one-shot it, I want to say. Everything was going super smoothly until I killed Morgan and Great Mother. And what happened was I couldn't maintain my turn meter train from there. I didn't have enough units to hit. And so there was a gap where he came out and then, DTP did a hit. We survived it, but not by much. And then Initiate followed up and just did whatever. And then Slacker fell over. So was able to clean it up with something. It didn't matter what then. But yeah, that's all I have to say. How about you, TJ?
Dagger's here. I think I heard him chime in. So if we want to start with Dagger.
Dagger's here?
Well, actually, I heard a chime. Maybe I'm
you
wrong.
snuck in.
It's almost like if you read the chat, you would know that I hopped in.
You know what?
He did say last meeting.
You, in fact, are not my real dad.
It's true. It's true. Age gap, age dip and all. We should start with Dagger.
Okay, well, we can start with you, Dagger. By the way, just quickly catching you up, how was the week for you? Oh, that's right. That's right. You're 3-0, aren't you?
Yeah, I went
I'm just
3-0.
predicting.
The squish really, really hurt me this time. I'm all the way back down to Bronzium.
Do you even know what Great Mothers are besides having them on your account?
Yes, I actually do. I watched. Watched it. Now look here. Now look here. I didn't fight them myself.
My bad.
obvious
I
reason.
only set this crazy expectation. Yeah, you only have.
Yeah,
them
you
on
had
your
better
account
be
and then
watching
see them on
other
TV.
people's streams, or you're
This
going to have
motherfucker
no
just sees
intel.
He just sees them on TV, right? I don't see them. I just play one on TV.
You had better be doing outside extra research, because you are not going to be useful on your own for, 4 months?
This guy, dude, is gonna
Something
walk
like
through.
that.
The squish has been an ultra squish for him. It's been a regularly weird one-off squish.
Nuts.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, talk about...
but no, I will say this.
Yeah, what do you know about Great Mothers fighting it? Mm-hmm.
Well, I had a conversation with 3 other people when I was on a stream. And they're trying to figure out how to get through someone's GAC, and we were talking about the mechanics, like the hardwired mechanics. I know Fatal's touched on them before. But trying to use the hardwired mechanics to try and break down how to take down the fight without using Slacker. So trying to build a JMK team to take it out. And JMK, Cat, Snips, Plo, GK worked pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the overall consistency of that is, but it looked really smooth because Great Mothers go right after GK, and they give Bless to Morgan, and then you just kind of just play the fight.
Wait, are you
really
saying
smooth.
that the AI priority targets GK for Doomed at battle start?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, that's
I actually have feedback on that because that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about it. Go ahead, Dagger. Finish yours, and I'll tie into that.
Yeah, you're up next,
That's a
TJ.
good
We'll get to
recollection,
you.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that was kind of it. So knowing that the AI is going to do X, Y, and Z makes that fight a lot easier, especially when you're picking your 5th person for that team. This time being Plo, and they lost GK, and other than that, it was pretty smooth.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Well,
And
TJ.
then, of course, really quick, of course, like Tass said, I watched a handful of Slacker fights, and I think 3 of the 5 were losses.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like Tass said, once you get 2 people dead, your TM train gets blown up, and then you get blown up.
I didn't like it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
All right. TJ, what you got?
Oh, mine was a much worse experience, but I think it's good, right? It's just the tippy top what we're doing. So when Michael and I tested, we had the setup. He did both bros. The only reason I call them the bros, but it's the DTP and Night Trooper with Spirit, and I got shit pushed in with SLKR. But with that setup, I was actually able to kill it or almost kill it with Treya. So it feels different on the fight, but for an off meta. Oh no, sorry, there was no Spirit. I had to go back to my round 1. No Spirit. So because there wasn't that much damage, I got damn near close to killing it. The only thing I did where I screwed up was one of the characters had Blessed. DTP had Blessed, and I tried to Nihilist one-shot it. But where it felt good and where Treya actually felt pretty strong with the high defense, taking the multi-tank setup, because I watched Arnold do it with Savage lead and it went to shit naturally. But having the multi-tanks, so taking Savage, which it seems like they go after Savage a lot, right? And it feels like they almost be targeted for it, because I had Cyan on there, I had Set, and I had Savage. They went right after Savage. But what that did is having those tanks to protect your team allows your team to start working them down. And without Spirit there, it felt good. Like, if I didn't screw up, I think I would have got it down. Where the Blessed went, everything else. Yeah, so it was like taking the tanks to protect. It's weird. You protect your Treya, and I think Fatal will tell you, he loves his Scions and his, but they were naturally just resilient once you get past that opening of the bullshit. So you're protecting your people, they're doing it, Nihilus is going off, and they just start eating your team up. Without Spirit there with that advanced damage, man, it felt pretty good. And I'm pretty sure I could have got it down if I was done. It's not a clean fight. Then go to round 3. Payton set such a wonky team on me. It was cool. He set it with, basically the idea is, I'm going to outlast you. So he put Zombie and he put Marin. So it's just living it out so that with the 2 hits, you have the tank going on, and then Marin trying to mess with the disruption. And it ate my team up. I couldn't get through anywhere where I needed to go, and he went with the other side of it. That, if nothing else, Zombie's going to keeping interaction, and it did.
Interesting.
But since Payton did so well, I was going to test it. So what I took is what I think is the best utility knife of probably this season, Queen. And what was cool, I took AI priority. So I took GMY. I did the setup with the support for the damage, and I took GMY for AI priority because they love GMY. Just like Dagger called out, which was a good one, because I had a fail with it, and I'll talk about it. But JMK, I took Plo. I didn't take GK, and in hearing Dagger call out the GK, I'm like, damn it, that is such a smart idea. Because what happened is they went right after, I want to say Plo, but it's, no, I'm sorry. They went after Cat. Yeah, so they went after Cat. So Dagger calling out GK, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. And it's like, yeah, so you take the air priority with the Queen team. It went on the GMY, but that's how I got my kill. It's like, I'm just going to try this and see if it worked. GMY, they went right after him. They hit him up, and man, my team just ate them up. It literally pummeled through them. So Queen, which I think feels like the best counter for a majority of what it is here, if there's no Spirit and there's none of these other pieces to it, it feels really resilient to just kill it. And it did. It did great.
Yeah. I'm also one of these like QA truthers. We've talked about this ad nauseam. I really, really like this team. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If Spirit's there, Spirit has the dispel before the damage that ignores defense. So that's like somebody's getting one shot. JPEG.
Yeah.
Especially since they'll be blessed because of the AI. So yeah, if there's no Spirit there, that makes a lot of sense. It has so much like survivability.
That's what I'm saying. This week was amazing I got shit push gen, call it what it is, but I got to play a lot of the different teams I think we're going to see, where it's like, what is your goal? And I think everybody agrees, end goal, stop SLKR. And that's what we're going to start seeing with these little tricks and nuances. But when you're not putting on, I think we talked about it, Taz, Spirit really does feel like an essential piece that without that these Treya teams, these off metas that just need the time to make it work are going to take out your sisters.
Yeah, well, so isn't it that if you want to set the version of the team that is most likely to give Blessed to Morgan, you would want it Great Mothers, Morgan, Knight, DTP, and Initiate, right?
But if you do that, though, and you remove the damage, because I agree, right? And it's 2 pieces. One, Dagger made an amazing comment that I keep sticking to my head now. Like AI priority, right? The Thrawns, the GMYs, the GKs, all of these other characters that have such a high targeting priority, we can use that to our advantage to start trying to take other off metas to take it out that love it, like the Queens and the Treyas. But without the Spirits, yes, the bless is there, and yes, we want it to happen. It just feels like I can take so much more against you. I'm not calling it wrong, and I'll talk about it where you talked about Knight, and I'll have pieces of feedback where I agree now, because Knight would deal with DTMG kills a lot more than people I think are going to give it credit for with Gideon. I'll talk about it where I destroyed a Java team.
Knight basically feels required on the DTMG team.
Knight is required, and I can talk about that
Yeah.
too. But either way, for the point of the mothers, without the spirit there, I feel like a lot of off metas are going to do their work. That will not work.
Yeah.
You're messing with the SOKR, but if I can take my Treya team and kill your mothers, and I'm telling you, I would have had it. I without the screw up of taking against that blessed, I was literally taking Nalus and just piecemealing the team. And only the person they killed where I timed out was Savage. My team was still alive. I was doing just fine controlling the team because I was able to just boom, 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 and it's going fast with this cron. Now, I'm not saying when set 16 goes away, it will be the same, but I felt in good control versus what it was. With Spirit there, Dagger called it. It's the quick delete. Your characters just fade away, and Spirit's just rocking.
Okay. I think this might boil down to being something like, or I know everybody else gets a chance to go, but this sounds an awful lot like the Jar Jar Kron versus Boss Nass Kron, about how Jar Jar Kron like makes off counters not work, but Boss Nass messes with the GLs kind of thing.
Yeah, I just
it
felt
depends
the
on what your
pain of
opponent's
it.
going to use on your there's going to be a modular setup based on what you expect your opponent to use against it. I think that I really like those kinds of defenses. I think that makes GAC more interesting. But that's just me. And I'll
All right. Well, let's move to Sasha. Yeah, Sasha, what you got to say on this?
Yeah, so I agree with Dagger's point that it does feel like kind of nuanced, that each of these different comps have different vulnerabilities. But the other thing to remember with this, it's actually, for me, it's really enlightening to learn that GK would be a prioritized target, because I had the same thought as TJ and had tried it in Squad Arena of using GMY, so putting Grandmaster Yoda out there. But the reality is, as we've talked about many times, not all Great Mother Crons are created the same, right? And I found, at least some that I've run into in Squad Arena, that have a bunch of offense on them. If they go after GMY, he's dead incredibly fast. Like, this is a squads without Spirit or without Acolyte, but like a Night Trooper or Death Trooper Peridia there, and he's dead. And then immediately, Great Mother's like, all right, cool. Now I'll go on to whoever else I want to prioritize.
But I'm going to counter you now. Here's where I'm going to counter you, Sasha, because my GMY was dead turn 2. They literally deleted my GMY. Within 15 to 30 seconds, my GMY was dead. And then they put the power onto POW. But with my team being fast enough, and remember, the only person that can hit you is Blessed or Mothers, right? With your team being set up correctly and you're going like that, you have the pre-taunt little dummy doll sitting right there. My team had the time to run through their team. I was piling through them. I had already had Mothers and half the team down to 50% health with POW's first move. And then remember, if your Qui-Gon is set up correctly, and if there's any kind of speed there, he's supporting and moving the fight around. If Spirit's not getting that damage or you don't have the thing there, I was fine with GMY gone. I was fine with POW having Blessed, because I still got to maintain with Qui-Gon and everybody else. The supporting cast did all my work.
Yeah, look, I believe it. Yeah, and that is, I mean, it is really, QA is doing some pretty nice stuff. In fact, it was an impactful defensive option for me. I love that it worked there. I think the one time that I held it on offense, it took out a Leia for me. So that squad's been great personally. And then we can move over to Fatal. Like, my approach, because I've been wary of the various comps that I've seen and their vulnerability, or the vulnerability of the crew slacker counter to it, I've ended up going with JMK. I've not put a prioritized target in, so this is helpful for me. What I've done is just JMK, Plo, Cat, Snips, and it's been smooth. It's definitely been smooth. There are times that Plo gets a little low or Snips gets low because of the penalty there. health on assist, but it works well. But to have an extra option like Queen Amidala would be nice. And Fatal, what have you been doing?
I really don't have anything productive to add here. I've just been doing crew SLK. It does kind of. I already had this feeling a day or two ago of like the moment that set 16 goes, I'm going to be caught. Well, the pants are on my legs if I don't get something in this category set up. But I guess the biggest question that I have is for the Amidala side, with all the assists, how are you not getting heal punish? Are you just scaling over the heal with the support run?
What is crazy is I did get punished. I think I think I recorded my fight. No, I probably let it go. I will tell you, it looked like my POW had like 1 health. And when I tell you like literally 1 health, I mean it looked like a single health bar was left by the time from the assisting. But yeah, the support from Qui-Gon, what he was doing, kept bringing him right back up. My team stayed fully healthy and was good.
No, I'm not talking about your health. I'm talking about their health because they regen like 35% bulk every time you assist, right?
It went back up, but POW. The key is the POW. I think you're right. I don't know what it'll be like without 16 because POW was, I mean, they were just following Fatal. So when we talk about like the amount of damage, when
honestly,
POW went first middle.
What about Padme? What about Padme lead QA? Like QA's lead's like not that impressive.
What saved me, I think there might be something there to it. What saved me, honestly, was the doll. The doll was my hero and shining armor. I don't know if I would have tried this versus the spirit setup, only because it would have basically been spirit delete, and then I would have never gotten to play anything. I think for this particular one, it went to Initiate, which, by the way, Initiate is the one who deleted my SLKR, which felt really bad, and I was really sad when that happened. But with this lesser setup, I think it went to Initiate, and there just wasn't enough to push through. And then everybody else was just attacking the doll. It felt great and controlled, but I could see what you're saying on the other side. There was nothing else to me where it was like, oh, yeah, it was the queen lead doing any of that. POW was the damage dealer, and it didn't matter that they were getting their stuff back by the out of turns. He just literally just ripped them up. There was just nothing they could do.
All right. Okay, guys, that one's covered. I think next matchup is any of you see anything interesting with Luthen this week? I saw Luthen in round 1. I had JMK available at that point in time, so smashed right on through with that using the Jedi Stun Cron, was just too easy. Didn't have any really interesting offensive uses, but yeah, we can have an open floor on this one. Go ahead.
As always, if you don't have Crex on the team, don't set it.
Yeah,
I did set it, and that wasn't gonna obviously stop JMK, but I take your point because you're still setting it with support cron, right? If you're setting it.
Yeah, and you need the days against things like GG and because the things that beat it are generally Terminator trains, so you need to stop the Terminator trains.
I took CLS attacker and it was poopies. But
I heard CLS was a good counter for that though.
Oh man, it destroyed it. CLS attacker, I don't care what you're doing. There wasn't even a whim of a problem.
Oh, okay.
But it's punch up. I mean, to me, it's punch up, and I think Fatal called it or whatever. It's killing. In my opinion, of what sets is probably one of the strongest teams right now for defense, and Leia, it kills Leia. I get there's a fail point and all that, but Luthen is killing Leia, or you can die to CLS. I'll use it to try to do that. And I'm not the one who called it, right? I saw it on the other ones. I know it has a fail rate as well, but watching, I will call Fatal and Dagger's favorites, Mon Mothma, Luthen, destroy a Leia. But I take anything else and it just eats my team up. I'll take it for offense.
Is there a way to set up your Leia to be resistant to this Mon Mothma Luthen? Because that's probably with POW or what?
Sabine is probably the best, but then you just take Sabine out first, and then it doesn't matter. I don't think that there's. Honestly, I think that the loss percentage or the fail rate has more to do with the Mon Mothma train stopping at some point than it has to do with anything Leia actually does.
I would say you can't say round 2 Only thing that stopped it, I put the Sabine in. He had to 2-shot it. He was clean the entire time. Don't look at mine. Mine was a bloody mess. But the only thing he lost on was that setup I talked about. You would fast where he tried it and Sabine just hard stopped it. In my opinion, right? Because you see everybody else is still is gone, or everybody's still there, but then he cleaned it up no problem because he had everything. So I definitely think the Sabine.
Han Shui also. The biggest fail condition for Mon Mothma is losing 2 characters before you get a chance to go.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So if you can do that, like the Han Shui variant,
Now is that going to require the attacker crown with it if you're doing that, or are you still running tank crown with your
almost assuredly attacker crown?
Yeah, and that means that's good. Just as well with Sabine, right? Just as well.
Yeah. Well, yes. So I think Sabine can stop it. I think it depends on the rest of your cron, right? Because if you have enough defense, you can maybe withstand and have Sabine last a couple of turns. I know I tried it against Leia in arena with Mon Mothma, and Sabine took 2 turns and then died horribly just through the assists. So,
but let me just also clarify this: when Dagger says that, not all Mon Mothmas are created equal. Dagger loves his Mon Mothma. He has put love and care into his Mon Mothma. That is not the normal Mon Mothma.
Very fair.
Sure. I'm also saying there's no Omis active.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm doing this with no Omis active. So
but if I take my R5,
no, I understand. I'm just extrapolating based on being able to do it without Omis, and I think that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But again, I'm just saying, like I think it's going to be moderately inconsistent just because there are ways to like put pressure on Mon Mothma, especially if you even if you kill one person out off the rip, they have to spend their first turn with Mon Mothma reviving, and that Luthen summoning, bringing the summon at spawn is super important for that. So it used to be if you could kill somebody before Mon Mothma went, they just like lost on the spot because they couldn't summon. Because you need that summon for the scout TM trait.
Honestly, I mean, the attacker crown with like Han Chewie and no Sabine sounds kind of interesting, right? Because, isn't that? So what's that going to be?
I'm reasonably sure that Han Chewie Sabine with Sabine getting guard is just a hard stop.
That sounds pretty bad. Yeah, sounds like bad news.
I would wonder.
I'm reasonably sure that's a hard stop.
I would want to see what it looks like, because I think that's a good call. But I think what it doesn't necessarily stop, as again, what I think the utility knife is the Queen. Queen, I was able to use very cleanly, so that's where it's like.
Yeah, it's all about knowing what your opponent's planning on using. If I see people trying this Mon Mothma stuff, then this is good to keep in mind, because I want to go for that.
I would also say, because it's not much else is killing it right now. And if we look at, this is where I'm calling it pretty consistently. There's not really a higher calling for Leia, but to me, Leia's, people are calling it trash or something like that, but I'm feeling like Leia is like one of the keys for defense, where her best place.
I would say also keep in mind that Slacker is one of the better counters to Leia as well. So setting a version of Great Mother that has to be slackered is relatively important.
I'm also gonna call out that team concept is everything, because I had what round was it? I had to face a Leia. I took Slacker and got my shit pushed in. Now again,
did you take Cal?
No. That's what I'm saying. Me moving around. So it was me moving around. We were trying stuff. So I just went in doing stuff. But it's like, if you're not taking the right comp, so agree. Cal or the other pieces that you need to have there. But normally before, I guess this would be what, SLK Cron? It wasn't that necessary. Now I'm talking about, you could go back to having just GA with armor and a couple other pieces, and it would still feel okay. Did not feel
that.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
But before it was okay. But I think that was also the data front that played a part of it, right? Not
the SLK
not the
on
special forces. Yeah, something like that. But that's what I'm saying. Like definitely didn't happen. But just calling it out, good call out on the Cal. But it was that's okay. Leia feels very strong right now, man. Is on defense, and Payton set Leia and JMK on me in the back, which was I opened it back. I was like, oh yeah, well I'm not clearing, so we'll go ahead and move on from our day.
Sasha, Fatal, any comments on interesting usages of Luthen this week?
I think he just looks scarier than he is, and so most of my opponents just like spent more than they really should have against mine, and my defense did pretty well. I'm still kind of in a lower rank than I typically am, so I don't really read much into the defensive results. It's just like, yeah, I'm just kind of favored.
But
So,
were you setting it bottom front then and having them make that call early? And that's why they were overkilling it? Or what?
I don't actually remember the positioning. It wasn't like terribly strategic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's bottom front, but like
Okay.
I would have placed that there anywhere. Like I literally haven't placed or changed my defense from last season aside from replacing Kron. So like anybody willing to scout would know exactly what I was doing.
Sure, but yeah, I mean, placing it bottom front to force a choice early, it's not a terrible idea. How about you, Sasha? What you got?
Yeah, so I'd say mine was fairly underutilized. I was tempted to put it on defense, but ended up I really wanting to be able to hang on to him, hopefully to find like a good Leia match for it, and I didn't find one. So I used it. I think in both of my real matches, it was a Mon Mothma Luthen just against Gungans, and I know that there are more affordable counters to Gungans, but at the same time, like, you know, I had one opponent get hard stopped with 7 losses to my Gungans. You know, they can do damage, and I didn't have a ton of other great selections left, so I ended up using it that way. I feel like undertapped potential at least going into next week. So yeah, I'm excited to see how high it can hit. I just haven't had to sort of break the class for it yet.
Okay, dig that. All right, next item here, and this was something that Fatal brought up. You know, the feeling of set 17 here this week being underwhelming. I think we all found the most impressive defenses to still be set 16 oriented. And how do you guys feel about that? And do you feel that unless, you know, it doesn't have to be the same type of power, of course, but unless set 18 brings the same type, or, you know, the same force, I guess, of set 16, the game's going to feel pretty deflated for a bit. What do you guys think on that?
I will not. Sorry.
Go ahead, Dagger. No, go ahead.
I will not have strong opinions until we see set 18.
Yeah, but it's I'm less asking you to opine on set 18 and more about how do you feel about the significance of set 17 this based on this last week of play.
So I'll share just. I mean, these are kind of Kraken perspective a little bit on it. But one thing I have noticed, and we were talking before about it, is it does seem like for all the cool sounding Jedi options, I'm surprised that other than the Plokron, which I think has very real impact, whether it's under JML or JMK, I'm pretty underwhelmed with how the Jedi Crons performed. Like there wasn't an exceptional, like, hey, you really have to pay up to cross through this defense. And then the other thing, this is sort of particularly at like the very end game whale perspective, but because there are 8 stats to roll potentially for set 17 and 6 stats for set 16, I have noticed, certainly in my collection, and I noticed this very clearly in my opponents, there's less of a concentration of defense on their set 17 than their set 16s. And that makes it a bit easier. Like I just find it 400% defenses tend to be the set 16. And then you see a little bit more sort of spattered, diversified. In some cases, it's really healthy to do it. But in that way, like there's been a noticeable difference in my matches. I do think there are probably some extra cool things that can be done with the Jedi Cron tonight that haven't been tapped, just not completely game changing. And the only other thing I'll say before handing it off is that the Rogue One stuff, it's only really, I mean, I guess Mon Mothma makes a difference too, but for that AdRad squad, I mean, it's, one of the main factions for that entire set, but that AdRad squad does some pretty cool stuff. I will say, like, that has impressed me. Like, so its ability to take out a Queen Amidala potentially with some meaningful risk. Its ability to take out a bunch of other squads. It's pretty cool.
I will say thanks to Zareth, man. He tried it, and then I got to go try it too against Mike. I had him. He set up the support setup with the Queen and Adbrad. It was a very clean filling counter. So the punch up of being able to take out a Queen with Adrad, that is 100% worth it buy to me, even on the risk of what it's doing. Because yes, that punch up, but that's a high level. That's a pretty high ceiling.
Now, I know that, some people might be thinking, can you get away with doing the AdRad without POW? And I've seen that POW is pretty important to having a strong win rate. What do you know differently than that?
What did I take? It was round 1. If you want to look at it, I think that's pretty added.
I did not use POW.
You did not use POW. Okay.
Oh no, you know what? I didn't. I used K2. I
did
that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think POW may raise your percentages in some matchups, but I have seen more people use the K2L9 because of how much that screws with your turn meter more than I have seen anyone use POW.
And the assist.
Take that.
I actually recorded the fight.
Yeah.
I actually recorded that fight, right?
That's super cool to know.
And it felt, like I said, I can show, so I can send it if you want to look at it, but it didn't take long, and it felt good. And when it went through, everybody was dead, but I think Shock at that point. And when I watched Xeris, it was like one other character that didn't matter. It wasn't one of the key ones, where I think it was like GMY. It was something weird. Where it was like, oh no, it was his Bad Batch Echo was still alive, but everybody else is dead. Well, this one, Shock was alive, but everybody else is dead. So it's just taking the time. But
so for all our grumbling, that's a really great matchup then to take on Queen.
And to kind of, also Queen shouldn't be on defense going forward. Like I think we've all kind of established that with the Sortie nuke and now Adrad. And you look at what she beats on offense. All that aside, I just want to piggyback off something Sasha said, where I think one of the things we're running into now with Krons is that the good teams are just better than the L9s. Right? We have finally got to the point where some of these teams, like Koth, I've said this since it basically came out. Can somebody please tell me how to use this thing? It reads really well on paper. But I think we finally got to the point where the teams are just better than the Krons, and the stats are more important to the good teams than some of the Krons. Like, the Jedi Krons feel underwhelming, even though the stun level 6 was historically oppressive.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think it's a couple of things. One, stuns just aren't stuns anymore. That, Inquisitors are immune, Malgus auto shrugs it off. There are so many teams now where, I'm gonna stun you every turn. Like, Trey doesn't give a shit. So, it's not... I think some of the level 9s also just sound deceptively... it's a huge word count, but, usually when I read something with a long word count, I kind of just try to break it down into, individual bits that matter, and then see, okay, well, how much does this actually apply to my day-to-day? And I think... this is why, just for transparency, I haven't even really been modding my Jedi for GAC. My Qui-Gon's unmodded, my Kelornbeck team's unmodded, because I just don't really see much to believe in while we're in this high power state. If we see a regression...
When you say unmodded, you mean not specialty modded?
They're mod lockers. I just took them out of the GAC loadout so that it's a smaller size. Yeah, dude.
Oh, shit. Okay.
No, yeah. I basically every week I do an audit of who am I using and who am I not, because I don't really do knockdown drag out, or at least that doesn't really happen anymore, so it's just kind of a waste of credits. And even post set 17, Jedi haven't really made the cut for me. Is we have so many good teams now that C team with a lifter is still nah, man, I'm just gonna go use the 20B teams that I have. It's fine.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I said. Maybe I was a little hyperbolic when I said it, but yeah, a lot of the level 9s that are meant to prop up older teams that aren't as good just don't cut the mustard now that we have so many teams.
I think that's it too, but I think back when the Jedi level 6 was powerful, I also think there was good level 9s to it as well. And I think Beto called it out, right? Because now it's just cheeky, right? Oh, you put Jedi with stun. Oh, that's cute. That's gonna make me look a little sideways. But it just feels that way now, right? It just feels like this is not. But then again, with the power of the level, with the supports and the attackers and everything else, Sogo 2.0 is just a harder point where it's just like. Go ahead,
I'm not trying to push back that hard, but I will push back slightly that I it's like when Cup came out, right? And everyone was like, "Whoa, this is insane!" But I looked at Cup Crown and I was like, "This is like barely an alternative to the other support options that Amidala has." Cheeky is a good word for it, but it's almost like CG is trying to be a little bit too cute. Of like, the design style is fun, but like, okay, they're looking at actual stuff in their kit, and they're saying like, okay, well, what can we do with this, or can we provide any interesting effects off of this? But then, like, if you actually go through and audit the shit that they're doing, like, if you go look at, like, Plo Koon Kron, so much of that stuff is contingent upon, like, okay, well, you actually have to get turns off, and then you actually have to, like, gain this buff and then lose it, and then you have to do this. That, like, most of the time, when you're looking at a Kron like a Plo Koon Kron or an Eth Koth Kron, you can cut out, like, 60% of the text, and that will be the actual level 9. And so when we're talking about, you know, what level 9s are good versus like the average power level of character, I think it's more an indictment of the level 9 design of recent, which like also like slight sidebar to be clear, we did see some level 9s just get nerfed and like, you know, they sure did print some fucked up stuff that like, you know, Gideon now will still scam you out if you're running Malgus or whatever.
It's true.
Like,
yes.
Right? That was actually kind of a cool oh shit moment, because in my mind, Gideon was just kind of deleted, and it's like, nah, he will still threaten you on turn. He's just not cheating out turns.
It's true. It's true.
I lost like 2 or 3 characters because it was just like, it's actually like a kind of a fun fight of like, you have to juggle this threat, and like, my oh fuck, I didn't even mod DR for crit this week. Damn.
But just to extrapolate off that fatal, like to what you said before, or what you just said, you're right. A lot of times we get like all caught up in how many words are on a level 9, and we don't really think about complexity sometimes being a bug and not a feature.
I think
that's
it's
a
the
good way to
same
put
thing
it.
with I think it's all of the long text on everything you do. It almost feels like when you talk to somebody, it's like, ooh, go for the long text. It's
Because
like
I can tell you right now, I don't know what they fixed on the Gideon L9 Cron. I just know that he doesn't take every turn for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know what Gideon Cron does. I just know I don't insta-lose to it once he takes a turn.
I'm going to give a perfect example of a requirement that came out that made no sense, and I was talking to people about it. It was Luthen for the level 9. And then you want the long text for your Luthen. Fuck for. What is that?
Yep.
What does that?
Yep.
What does that matter? And it's like, but it's true. Fatal's right. If there's more words, that's got to be the best. It's like, fuck cares about all row 1. Luthen's not row 1.
Luthen's
Honestly,
level 9
the
just
damage
isn't even
reduction.
good.
That's also true. But Mon
But
Mothma
that's
specifically,
what
just
I'm
take.
saying.
But for Mon Mothma specifically, I'd almost want the damage reduction on like POW,
Right.
so that way he lives.
But that's what I just laugh at, right? It's like I think Fatal. We are in the world of it's got the most words. That's obviously the best thing, and that is. I think Fatal called it out, right? It's like actually,
I'm
parse the
guilty
data.
of that. I've been for months trying to
I'm
find
the
something
same
to do with
way.
Eth Kothkron.
I think
a lot
right
of
now-
it's the same way.
I think all of the conversations we just had, literally all of them, even if it was completely different topics, power is the core central theme here.
Mhm.
And I think this really just speaks to the unease that we have not knowing what set 18 is going to be, because 16 and 15 were high power, very high
Yes.
power.
Yes.
And 17 is just the sort of regression that it's like, are we supposed to grade it on a curve? Is this like a wait 2 months and then it'll be real? Like, so, you know, I don't even blame guilds for requiring Luthen, because it could very easily happen that, hey, 16's
Right.
gone, 18's out, you want
Right.
a Sawcron, you're running Luthen.
Right,
Yeah.
Right?
I just think it's funny, but I think you called it out. But I also want to say all companies are notorious for creating the problem, selling the solution. And when we've seen a dip, right? So when we've seen, there's been certain ones where they created a cron, and you look at it, you can see this is just mediocre. Oh, that means the next set is going to be just bonkers stupid. And this feels like a dip So I could see 18. I know we're waiting for it, right? I'm not calling out, but
Yeah.
like when it was bad, right? When one was bad, and you can look at it, and nobody's here has come back and said, "Ooh, 17 is the changer of the game." That means like you kind of get scared, right? Because it's like you'll do limited resources because it's a resource management game. So you'll do less on this set, knowing that the next one coming in is just going to be like bank breaker. And I'm not calling it that way. We saw it the
I
last
gotcha.
time when this happened.
Well, let's get Dagger's thought there, then wrap this one up.
Well, yeah. I just have a really quick thing to add because Fatal brought up power, and then TJ brought up selling you the solution, and that reminded me of every time they make a busted Datacron, they print a counter to it with with either a paywall character in the next set, or they make it something just initiate level 7 or level 9, right? So they'll make some like rancid ass character L9 that you have to farm up that character.
Yeah.
Or like what the point I wanted to make is when they were talking about that, I just started grinding my teeth because if you don't have great mothers, you're going to fight great mothers and Balin on defense. And if you have Balin, your opponent might not be able to set great mothers on you because it'll just be full auto. Anyway, sorry, I was just grinding my teeth over we're going to get this solution sold to us with the Balin bespoke Datacron. And it's like, this is what we get for rewarding bad behavior. This is our eternal punishment.
This is. Oh, wait, are we cutting off here?
No. You got something else you want to throw in?
Just a quick addendum to what Dagger just said is this is probably gonna be the whaliest fucking thing. But I realize like we're kind of at the end stage of the journey guide here, where CG has just required so many characters that there aren't very many characters left at this point, and you aren't going to have at Relic, which is. It feels like a progression or sign at times for the game of just like, man, I did not think my account was going to reach this state, but here we are. Like,
yeah.
I have they have just
7
gone down the
ETH,
guide.
dude. I have a Relic 7 ETH. I have a Relic 7 or 8 Cup. I have high Relic things that without the Kron or whatever it's in play, I'm not touching that character. I'm sorry. You can't convince me. I didn't even do Initiate when Initiate was cool because it was like it's just no. But it sounded definitely. I think that's a great call out. A sign of the times of how do we get them to Relic the character? Just give it a Datacron.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, the map of sort of the next OP Datacron, or I would have said Omicrons, but it seems like that's stopped to a trickle or maybe fully stopped. But next OP Datacron is going to be somebody from that can be found right now on a non-maxed whale account at the very, very bottom of Galactic Power there. Like, somebody like myself, it's going to be one of my last 10.
Jedi Guardian getting the next busted L9.
But
exactly.
That's how they did. That's how they did Galactic Legends, right? You did a Galactic Legend. You could go look at your characters. You say, look at the bottom of the list, and that's where it's at. So I know you want to move on, but I was like,
guys,
Fatal called it.
Yeah. For sure. I know that we got to hit up, best attack and defense of the week for myself. I just want to mention attack-wise that, I learned the same thing that Fatal mentioned, that you're thinking with the nerf DTM or the nerf Gideon Kron that it may not be, it should be less of a challenge for Malgus. Nah, it chipped banners off me. And, with Night Troopers still there was significant damage to keep them low outside of the turns that Moff Gideon wasn't spamming his massive damage. So I think it's kind of nasty. And then defensively, I just wanted to see something. Yeah, I'm pleased to see that the Savage thing still held, but no, there wasn't really anything interesting about that round defensively. Yeah, not just more of the usual. Oh yeah, I had somebody use Mom Mothma against my trench team. Turns out that didn't work. Wow, Mom Mothma POW. And it still got closed out. Interesting. Mom Mothma POW, Baze, Chirrut, and Cassian with the POW Kron.
Well, obviously, that lost. That team sucks.
Yeah, well, you'd be, I wouldn't be surprised with as bully powerful as the POW Kron is, they wouldn't do something. Anyway.
Well, yeah, without Scout, like, that team doesn't do anything.
Yes. I mean, yes. Very fair point. Okay, Sasha, I know that you're going to have to dip out soon, so let's hear about your best attack and defense of the week, and then let's get your parting thought before you dip out.
Yeah, sure. So, I'd say on on defense, first I'll start with just one that was kind of entertaining for me to set because I found in Squad Arena it was doing some nice things. And that was an LV Mall Piet, Royal Guard, and Stormtrooper. But with an attacker con, what I ended up doing is I was using my Night Trooper on a DTMG squad. I'm sorry, Night Trooper on my Great Mother squad. And so I had this sort of freed up strong attacker cron for Night Trooper, threw that on Vader, and yeah, it did surprisingly well. I think it's basically roughly bounty hunter proof because it hits hard enough that Vader ramps. I think it has 40-50% offense on it. It's just that was a cron that came pretty heavy offense. And then I'd say on defense, I actually set that Leia comp that we were talking about before that was at least theoretically anti Mon Mothma. That I went with Chewie on and Sabine and Krex, and that did get me some holds. So it was, it performed decently. I was just trying to find a way to be able to stop a cheap counter. I figured a lot of people, like myself, were going to go in wanting to use Mon Mothma. So that was a defense that served me pretty well. And then,
look
going
at this.
into,
Wait, look at this. They took
Yeah.
in Queen against you here and failed. Yeah, that's slick. That's nice to see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So that did pretty well. I mean, obviously it takes apart a CLS squad, so you don't have that cheap soft lethal counter if the opportunity presents.
But it's exactly as we had thought, though. I mean, as far as being able to fight off a Queen, this is an attacker cron on the Leia, so well done.
Yeah. And so I think, for me, this coming, one thing I haven't done is dig through insights and some of the learnings from the first week, just sort of across the community. But, we were talking about Queen Amidala, and I'm still not giving up on her as a defensive option because when she's worked in the back wall and an opponent doesn't have a proper counter, it can be such an effective hard stop. So that's, as I look into next week, that's where I'm going to dig into data more and just understand, is that a viable back wall? Because if it is, that I think will be really nice to have. And if not, then, it just becomes a nice offensive option that can maybe be substituted for a GL. But, that's kind of the one thing that's top of mind for me for, figuring out board going forward.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, before you have to dip out, you got a final thought you got to share with the folks.
I am kind of back to the topic that we were on before about, them sort of infusing power in parts of the roster that have been underinvested in, and sort of projecting where we're going to go. I think there are a number of pieces in that mercenary faction, which is such a broad tag that they've now rolled out, that it's going to be interesting to see as Set 18 rolls out what's going to spike that has really not been of interest, probably for multiple years. And I'm excited to do that. Like, I understand that, this is a model that is, very explicitly designed to just drive revenue for them. But look, I have fun with it. I'm excited to see sort of where it infuses life into our rosters and new comps. I'm hoping, as this continues to happen, there's a seasonality where some of the, past seasonal favorites fade when Datacron sets dust. But overall, we just keep accumulating these broader and broader rosters and cooler teams. I'm still hoping we get a chance at some sort of either increase in size of board or something near term. But until that happens, I'm still excited to see what happens with the mercenary faction. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Right on, man. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for joining us. Okay. All right, let's turn back here to Dagger. Your favorite attack and defense of the week. I got your tab up here. Let's hear all about it.
I didn't have to attack fleet all week. There we go.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I guess taking a look at this here, they didn't really push back too hard, so that's a thing.
I had set 5 teams. I saved 5 GLs and just undersized GLs on it.
Man, you get a pass on this section of the show for the foreseeable future, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah.
On the bright,
All right.
on the bright side, I did the math, and in 3 months I should be in a roadie.
Oh,
Like 2 more months,
jeez.
I should be like mid Herodian.
Okay, so yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you in Kyber sometime around summer next year.
Probably March. Actually, probably March.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see, buddy. All right.
I'm not gonna lose.
Yeah. No, I know about that, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
It's just free money. It's fine. Whatever. Squish it.
All right.
No, it's not even free money.
Buddy.
It's not even free money. It's 80 crystals a day and 140 crystals for a win. It's not even free money.
Knock it the fuck off, Dagger. You go sit in your corner with your dagger.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
TJ, how about you? Your favorite attack and defense of the week? I got you here.
All right, so I'll go round 1 to round 3. Look up Java round 1 for me, and then look up Java round 3. And this is why I want to say this. We talked about DTMG and why Dagger said Knight feels very important. And it's like, yeah, I felt the difference in both fights. So I did DTMG with the Gideon setup, and I took what I saw with that because I set the bros with no, I didn't set it. I just wanted to try it. Round 1 didn't have it, so I was like, I'm gonna try it without Night Trooper. So I took the comp without it. There was no support cron, no Knight, and man, it was a sketch fight. I felt super uneasy fighting that team. It felt gross. Then you go to round 3 against Payton, who set up an attacker cron as well. And man, just look at the difference. And it wasn't that long of a duration.
And that's with Knight.
The difference in my fight was Knight. That literally was my change, and it feels so much stronger. Knight is just keeping that team locked in on what you're doing, that it feels. And that when Dagger said essential, I cannot state that enough, that Knight literally was the change in my factor that felt super strong against what is definitely a stronger setup. And then I also want to add to this that I watched Arnold do it against the support setup. And I kept telling him, I think support's the way to go. He took Knight, all of the debuff went away, and he was just back in control. So Knight feels like it's understated how well it sits on this team right now. That the 5th doesn't need to be DTP, which is cool because then that can go to the sisters or the mothers. But without the Knight there, it's just not the same team.
I noticed that in neither case you ran Enoch, and wouldn't Enoch be of help?
It was looking for another mass dispel, and then also for the tap for days, and just trying to look for control is what I went for. To me, it didn't matter. I'm not calling Enoch the wrong choice there. I wouldn't want to offend Fatal with the bro that can go everywhere. I'm not calling that wrong at all. But Knight feels pivotal to make this really just shine, and it felt that way. I felt super in control.
Okay, good to know. All right, so yeah, favorite attack for you. How about defense? Anything jump out
It's
at
Leia.
you?
It's Leia.
Where are we going?
Leia just you could go. We already showed it, but like my only hold was really the Leia, and also facing Leia's. Man, they're just so strong. But like my only hold on, you can't say was Sabine in the setup, right? Everything else is clean, but Leia, like I said, Leia feels like the staple because, like Dagger said, and doing it with that, it's an SLK pull, right? You have the mothers, which are going to be genuinely so. It's like you have your Leia in the back, and now we're seeing the data, and I think it'll support it. That probably attacker with the setup, it's like that's even less options, right? And I'll tell you what I did. IFS-STH setup, right? So I faced the Han setup on this with the tank with Krex on there. The disruption and the hold absolutely still has weight there. And because it's super strong to hold that. So it's like those pieces, Leia feels like a clutch character that defense staple and fear of her. Because it may not be the mothers that get you, it may be the Leia.
All right, nice. Fatal, how about you? Favorite attack and defense of the week? I know you're saying nothing's jumping out too much here while you're still climbing back up, but what you got?
I don't read too much into it, but there was still fun stuff. The testing day on week 1 for offense, I got Zori to beat Raid with the Nescron, which was fun.
I saw that. Where was that?
It wasn't Han Chewie, which I don't know if I would trust that shit without like hyper specific crons to like contest on damage. But yeah, it was
Yeah, there it is.
decently fine and fun. Yeah, so we just continues to be a pretty solid squad, and you'll be R9ing all of those characters soon. So look forward to that. Defense side, I don't really have any like deep dives, but just like big picture, some really fun big beats. Like I cut Ben out for Hondo in my race squads, and that had a lot of pretty good hit rates. Crit avoidance. Amidala stopped sortie twice. One of the times like did not have any dust at all. I don't have the ideal crown for it, but yeah, Tom Ford. I'm kind of. I need to get hungry with theory of crafting again because I've been yapping all year about 2024 being the year of the crit, but like haven't really been actively applying as much as I should have been. And then yeah, Tom messaged me, was like, "Hey, what do you think about crit avoidance on Amidala?" Or like he told me that he was doing it, and it was like, yeah, no, that makes immediate sense. Why the fuck would I not be doing that? But
yeah, it's a cool idea he's got there. Yeah, you know, he's a previous guest here on the show, and I know all of us talk to him on the side. We'll have to have him back again soon here. Maybe, you know, maybe in time for us to talk about something to do with set 18. We'll see. We'll see how that's going to work.
But
okay.
Yeah, 2024 is the year of A, getting characters who shouldn't be able to crit, and then B, stopping characters who should be critting from critting so that you don't fucking explode.
Okay, guys. Well, we've made it towards the end of the show. It's time for takeaways and final thoughts. Dagger, yeah, I expect this should be fairly brief from you, but, you know, what do you got? Lessons learned, things you're looking forward to trying next week. Last thought for the people.
Well, unlike you guys who have to think about what you're actually going to do in GAC, I can ponder the more existential things. And I just while you guys were talking about your attacks and defense, I was still pondering. Man, it would be really nice if they just came up with a Beskar league that was like the top 200, and they just made that shit like 16 to 18 5v5 teams and 30 3v3 teams. Maybe those are, but just let the top 200 players use their whole roster. Let the rest of us just get crystals. Then there's obviously the thoughts about like they come out with new teams. Like we got Luthen, and he is good. His teams are B+. And that's just where we're at. We get new triple Omi teams, and they're going to continue to struggle to break the rotation because you have to relic up characters like Pow and Scout that the majority of players don't want to touch. And that's just where my thoughts are. From my final thoughts are, I don't know where like even Fatal said, we're at the point where everything on our roster is basically required for something. Where do we go from here? And pondering those, and that's my final thoughts.
All right, fair enough. TJ, how about you? Your takeaways and final thoughts?
I kind of agree with everybody. I think it's true. It definitely shows the sign of the times. I want to say our defense is pretty set. I'm not talking to Fatal. Fatal does Fatal things, but I feel like there's going to be some staples we're going to see in the data where it's like these are just the staple defensive teams, and all of them have prescribed counters, and how do you play with it? I do like that you can basically know that like the mothers are there and what setup is it, right? That kind of gets to play the mystery game. So it's like a great back wall setup. I also like Sasha's take and knowing that you could potentially put Queen on the back wall and she could potentially host. So there's some strategy there, and that's I love strategy and being able to do that. Kind of excited to see where it goes. I'm also excited to not get my shit pushed in. So let's hope for that. Fingers crossed. Go gentle, please, opponents. Other than that, I just want to see where we get to, man. I agree. The dawning of the set 16 feels sad. I enjoyed my Sugo 2.0.
The sunset. Yeah.
Pulling the ship twice was one of the coolest things I've ever seen from Star Killer.
Yeah.
I wish I could do it. I've done it one time.
I got to do it once.
Oh man,
A+. Got to do it once. No notes.
You must go pull the ship twice, and you will think.
You still get 2 more weeks of it. Enjoy while it's in season.
I don't know how you do it though. It's just like when you do it, it's like I wish you would have recorded it because get to experience it is amazing. But It's set 16 is so fun, man. I really enjoy what they did with this. This set was definitely wild and made the game super interesting. So week 2, we'll see where we're at. And I am scared for Punishing One. That is going to be a monstrous setup for come week 3.
Very fair. All right, Fatal. How about you? Your, what are you looking to try here in week 2? Your final thoughts for the people?
I am not entirely sure where I'm sitting. I mean, my main job description is to finish the season 6-0, so like, I'm probably just gonna mostly do my best to ensure that happens by changing absolutely nothing because it's been fine so far. I don't know. It's still, if I do get bored, it feels like I'm not even using Power Cron. I'm not even using Jedi Crons. That like,
Same.
I should probably do that somewhere, right? Like, I should probably figure out something to do with that. It's just there haven't really been fires that I need to put out, or things haven't really been breaking, so I'm just kind of coasting for now. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just, I guess the main thing I'm gonna be chewing on is Punishing One. I guess just like I've called the ball, so I guess it's on me to do some amount of work to prove it. So
Can't wait to see. Love to see if that resistance thing, like I being fairly high GP here, I'm always looking for how I'm going to prioritize the next Relic 9.
Yep.
So
I'll Tash is a bum. His pilots aren't all R9. Mine aren't. He's a bum.
That's fair. That's fair. So I would just say, well, let's see here, Fatal. All right, yeah, we got that thought from you. Before we move off from you, though, as the only other content creator here on the stream, where can the good folks find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV, YouTube.com/theplaybook. No activity on YouTube.com/theplaybook, but a significant amount of work happening behind the scenes for new future stuff that I will not promise because I know myself, but I'm working on beating those demons.
Very good, very good. All right, well, I'll be looking forward to seeing what you do. All right, especially with Punishing One. It's coming out here in just a couple of days.
We all will. Look. Playbook Fatal is like one of the 5 channels, only Swoger channel where I have notifications turned on. I'm not kidding. I look forward to his content when he puts it out. It's usually good testing, etc.
I don't know why, but the moment that I see something come out, everyone's like terrified, and the kit looks good. My immediate urge is just to make it look bad. So
we'll see.
I don't know. I don't. My brain is broken. We'll see.
Well, thank you for that, first of all. And I mean, for my part here, wrapping up, what I'm looking forward to trying. So I did a little bit of work here for week 2. I don't think it's gonna really spoil anything by the time this hits live. So I'll show you guys here on screen. It took some doing, but actually, what's the best way to show this to you? I'll just show it to you in Squad Arena, because this is depressing for my enemies. I re-rolled some of the bum stats on this Cron and got tenacity. So, good luck to them, because Slacker's going to have a challenge with that.
And not having offense on there is kind of a bummer, though.
Look.
That tenacity is super nasty.
Yes, it is.
I was going to say, we all can't have offense on our shit, Dagger.
That's right. We all can't be blessed.
I don't. Sensitive subject. I don't either.
I don't.
I said, very sensitive subject.
I did. Wait, hold on. I did, if you know, you know, but I don't now.
I was going to say, that's just like, don't say the O word. It's very, that I'm triggered. I'm triggered now. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, there's a Sabrina Carpenter song. This is topical because I went to a Sabrina Carpenter concert last night with my family. But there's a song she has. It's called Espresso, and this is my depresso.
Yeah, I think it's all over.
And if you know the song, you just heard that play in your head as my depresso, and you're welcome.
Yeah, fortunately, that means nothing to me for the time being.
That's all right, but Tass made a good call. I like the idea of doing that. The swapping it to tenacity and trying to turn lemon into lemonade is a cool idea.
Yeah, considering how bum this Cron has been overall, so just rolling away the crappy defense rolls and that one protection roll to get that 98% tenacity. So that's going to be really fun for my opponents to deal with.
And and you can move your you can actually tinker your Morgan into a different spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did. I did.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's
If you
what I'm
look
saying,
in the
that
scheme
chrono-
team chat, you can take a look. But she's in there and she's ready. She's ready for the business. The other thing I'm thinking about trying to do here this week is getting Seer Malikos more on defense. I found that I don't know. I have multiple ways of dealing with Ray that aren't Seer Malikos, and it's either Seer Malikos or Lord Vader. I kind of liked that Lord Vader composition idea to set down with Sasha's comp with the tanks and the revive using the Night Trooper Kron that you may not be otherwise using. I might give that a go, but I felt like I was one power team short on defense in a way that I feel like that's going to cost me in week 2. People are going to be cleaned up that much more. So that's
Also-
what I'm kind of being wary of. Sorry, go ahead.
Semi-related, but now that you bring it up, we never. I don't think we touched on Ray at all this season or to this episode, and I
No. Go ahead.
have been no. I'm just chalk another one up to the support crimes, but SK support crimes still just kind of curb stomps Ray, so it's like, I've been seeing more people putting Ray Cat down as like a way to try to like make somebody use something more expensive, and then using like JMK Cam versus like Gungans. So
Yeah. Tom Ford
we're-
did that to me last week. Yeah.
yeah, specifically referencing him who I talked to, but like there's a couple other people I've seen set Ray Cat because it's like, can we do something different that might change something?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, what I've been doing that's really been catching people off guard the last couple of seasons with set 16 is rotating which attacker cron is on my Ray. I have one that's either extraordinarily high defense, which goes with the long text nest, and then I set it up so that I have one that's an attacker cron that's the revival nest, and instead of super high defense, it's a little bit of defense, but then, maybe like 100 or so percent, but then it's something like 57, 58% health on it. I've mixing that up has definitely paid out because people who I'm assuming there's some amount of scouting getting done on me, and whichever one you think is there, I'm rotating enough that hopefully it amounts to some type of wrinkle in your plan. That's what I've been up to anyway. All right, guys, that's about it. We've made it here to the end. If you want to go ahead and catch me live on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/Tassinix. Of course, I do post all the VODs from my stream up on my YouTube with chapters added for easy browsing. That is Tassinix Gaming on YouTube. The podcast here, Plotting and Scheming, is, of course, hosted there. It's also on Spotify, YouTube podcasts, and I do post the RSS feed link for every episode, so whatever program you like using for podcasts, just plug that in there, and you'll be able to follow us. But, by the way, guys, I thought I'd share with you something, about 13% of our viewership listens to the podcast in a non-YouTube form. So it's either Spotify or some other platform for podcasts. About 13% are outside of the Spotify environment. So people are plugging in, listening from wherever. But aside from that, back over to talking about the YouTube channel. Got some other Swugger-related content there you'd be interested in seeing. We've got the Datacron set videos, of course, talking about the outgoing set 16 and Datacron set 17. I make those with Aesop Rock, one of the very top players in the game. We'll be getting together soon, very near future, to put one together on set 18. Also have the mod guide videos that started off as a community request from you guys, and I'm going in on the factions and characters you're most curious about, so appreciate your interest in those. I'll keep those going. Of course, we've already mentioned the show, and I think that's about it for the YouTube. Aside from that, if you've enjoyed the show here, first of all, if you are watching this on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe. Analytics love you when you do that, so make sure that you do that for me. Go ahead.
also, if you have any questions, compliments, concerns, or requests, you can put them in the comments. I assure you, Tash will not read them.
Oh, shush. I always read my YouTube comments. You shoosh.
But no. But seriously, all the feedback has been positive. I, as one of the mods for Tass's server and co-host, want to just, on behalf of the rest of us who aren't Tassniks, thank you for allowing us to do this dumb shit and justify it because people listen to it. And a lot of the content is due to you guys asking for it. So continue to ask for what you want. And I know Tass will do his best.
It's
and
true.
Thank you.
It's true. I will. So, yeah, of course, outside of that, hitting like and subscribe wherever you can. If you want to support the stream, I do have a Cash App that you guys request. It is $Tassinix. And, of course, if you want to get something back and help raise your scouting game and join my Patreon community, you can check out, let me hit the right button first, patreon.com/Tassinix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest to you. At $5 a month, you join VIP access and get early access to Plotting and Scheming. That is usually coming out to the public on Fridays. My patrons get it here on Tuesday night, or no later than Wednesday morning, depending on how cooperative YouTube is being, but usually just within hours of recording. You also get early access to the Datacron set reviews and, of course, dedicated text and voice chat on Discord, where you can usually find me lurking, so pop on in, say hi. Of course, thank you so much to Andrew, Arj, Brock Thudsteel, Deadpool Cal 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Miasmal, Ray's Malvis, Renee Bebe, Sam Vimes, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens14, White Wolf, and Zoltre. Moving up to $10 a month at VIP Access Plus, this is a bundle with Patreon access to me and to OmegaBot. So if you watch my streams, that is the tool that I use to scout my opponents and show that really nice bar graph-oriented report, at the start of the stream. No other tool gives you such a powerful at-a-glance sense of what your opponent's about offensively or defensively. And the patron feature lets you pull greater than just the last 2 weeks of history. You also get a cool HTML downloadable report with embedded links that connect to swugga.gg, so if you see a particular matchup in your opponent's history in that report, you can click it, take you right there, or you can click whatever team it was and see what counters are for it. It has really cool integrations. But thank you so much to Stryker and Esh Satnakam for taking that. And at VIP Access Premium, that is the DoubleBot bundle. So Patreon access to me, to OmegaBot, and to Hot Utils, the #1 tool for your mass mod management and loadout creation. With a couple clicks, you can move between Grand Arena, Raid, Territory Battle, TW, so on. Save a ton of time, and powerful other tools for Grand Arena and TW. Thank you so much to Duckstab, Funky, Ibenek, General Milan, Sir Boss, Quig, and Wilco for taking that. And of course, at the top of the heap in Jester's Club Elite, the one, the only Nomad's Reaper. This guy pops into stream from time to time, drops hundreds of subs and thousands of biddies, usually all in one go. If I actually had to read it out when he does it, I would spend upwards of 30 minutes just reading names. So, thank you so much, man, for all of the crazy generous support over the years. Of course, last but never least, our special thanks first to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters back in the day, bought me the mic I'm speaking to you on right now, and even though he has long since quit the game, we remember him fondly from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all of your work in the background, keeping our rambunctious, destructive, highly inquisitive daughter from throwing every egg that we have on the floor, from painting herself in Sharpie and coming to show us her fantastic artwork. You have mitigated several disasters here in recent days, and I can't help but appreciate you while I'm trying to be halfway decent at a phone game. And of course, to my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, as always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to make the show with you. We all learn from each other here making it. Our community loves it. They love picking up the details, the comments, the feedback, the DMs. They all confirm this. So we've got a successful recipe. Wouldn't change a thing. Appreciate the hell out of you guys. All right, let's move back.
We can never wait for the PNS.
What's that?
The fans can never wait for the PNS.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well,
I just want to comment that I'm always excited about the PNS when it comes out. And if we could just check it more, people should definitely check the PNS whenever it comes, because I think you're going to find something that's had a huge surprise.
And we can also make it harder hitting if we try.
Right. I just think that we should really talk about the PNS and how we can make it better, stronger, longer, and more for the people.
We may even be able to go deeper.
I mean, that only way you can do is when you deep dive with the PNS.
This is fantastic. You know, I appreciate the overwhelming, positivity and encouragement. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, that wraps this one up, and yeah, it's going to be a fun week too. Here, we've learned from the couple of scrapes that we've had, and hopefully it's going to be a clean week. It feels like it's going to be more like a one-shot meta week because I myself only had a couple drops per round, if that. Knowing what I know now, I imagine my opponents will be the same. The margin of victory I expect to be fairly tight, but it should be fun nevertheless. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.